they're not even in the game anymore. So.
Oh, wow. There was Mallenberg, close to your age, who sold land out by the river. Half section, I think, and it brought $10,000.
No, probably.
Yeah, he likes playing that, he enjoyed that.
He liked it.
I knew his name, but I
Why do you
forgot.
not do that? He said, no, I wanna do that because it's fun.
I gave it
There's
to
a
him.
Chris.
He said, how do you do the kid? He said, I can tell you this, he says,
I'll think of
playing
it.
with the natives?
Yeah, there
He
is a bunch
said,
of
somebody comes at you,
area.
they come as a
Oh,
herd.
yes.
He said, the white guys, half of them are white.
Wasn't Kelly either.
Are you?
You're not Kelly,
Are we on? It's 7 o'clock.
I said, yeah, I've been there, done that, buddy.
It is so.
Well, it's 7 o'clock, and now we'll call the meeting to order. You have an agenda in front of you. Is there any errors, omissions, or something you wish to add?
What am I doing here?
If not, somebody wish to approve. Richard moves the
Can
minutes.
beat Judy.
I mean, move, sorry, the agenda. Okay, any discussion on Richard's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Moving on to the minutes of March 23rd. Again, any errors, omissions, questions?
I'd like to move them as presented.
Okay, Cole moves them. Any discussion on Cole's motion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried. Moving on to the letter from Glenn Ager.
So I had a verbal conversation with Glenn as well. He brought this in, just voicing his opinion about the speed on Highway 23. He does know that that's transportation that looks after it, but just looking for some support from the
Yeah.
town should that be of interest to look at lowering the speed limit in there. So.
I think he's got a great point, which is something that, you know, I mean, people figure that if the speed limit's 50, I'll do 65 or 70, and you know, his comment about lowering it, hoping that people will lower their speeds to a normal speed. So I think it's something we should promote and go ahead, Cole.
I notice if I'm hauling grain coming over that hill, like I'm doing within the speed limit, but people pull out in front of a semi and you don't have time to slow there.
Yeah.
So I always slow down and then people are mad because you're not doing the speed limit,
Yeah.
but he does have a point.
Well, and it actually might help local business too, you know, if you slow them down, they might think, well, maybe I'll go get a burger, maybe I'll stop and tell them, here's a good place to get fuel, or whatever, you know, maybe those extra few kilometers less might draw people in for business, you don't know.
Chantal, yeah.
I do see a lot of foot traffic going across that highway too,
Yeah,
quite a
and
bit.
I think that's one of his major concerns
Yeah.
too, is that, you know, there is a, like I said, a bit, and I know that we gotta be careful when you say about the foot traffic, because transportation will have, you know, questions and concerns about the foot traffic across there,
But there's,
Mr. Hill.
Should we send a letter to
I-
Alberta Transportation?
I think we could, yeah, have a letter drafted from us as council and say that it was, you know, spirited from you know, concern by a citizen here.
The other part of my question, solution, put a pedestrian overpass.
Yeah, and,
We can suggest it.
Well,
There's two things they can say, yes or no.
yeah, well, or else you pay and we'll do it.
No, it's
No,
crossing their highway, not ours.
No, I know, but, you know, most overpasses are paid for by the,
Yeah.
either going over or under is usually paid for by the person that wants it, not by the people that need it.
I think we should just throw it out there and see what happens.
Well, you-
Throw
we
mine
can-
against the wall and see
we-
if it sticks.
We can definitely do that too, but, so we just would need a motion to move this forward if we,
I'd like to make a motion that we support Mr. Ager's letter and forward a supporting letter to Alberta Transportation with regards to the concerns.
okay, sounds good. Any discussion on Dwayne's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question in favor. Opposed, seeing none, it's carried. Okay, moving on to Honorable Grant Hunter MLA's.
Short little read.
Karen did mention that they might be getting too long to put in the agenda.
Yeah,
42 pages.
yeah, and at Mayor's meetings, he did say that this was a little little wordy, but
Little worried.
Yeah.
he said that normally he wouldn't have it quite as long if they weren't, sitting in the house and trying to promote some of their bills, so.
Yeah, that's
But
pretty
it
obvious.
still is really a good read. I mean,
It is.
I mean, I know that,
Oh, yeah.
anyway. Any question on grants? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the next one, which is MLA Rob. I don't know how you pronounce his last name.
Yeah,
Cheryl?
Cheryl, yeah.
Yeah, he's the one for Lethbridge southwest, or southeast, or southwest, sorry, yeah. And so he started to come to Mayor's Reeves from, so that was his. Okay,
What,
let's go
may
ahead.
I? Allowing library inspectors to examine everything owned by a library, including physical collection, digital. How far is the conservative government gonna go with this?
I don't know, on Grant's thing on Mayor's Reeves, he never really went into the library one, which is kind of shocking because we're in the Chinook Arches facility there,
Yes.
and I thought maybe something might come about at his discussion, but he really didn't go into that because they went on to other things that were in his reports. But I'm not sure.
I find it kind of alarming that they want inspectors to go in and examine everything owned by a library, including physical collection, digital, media, borrowing data. Again, are we getting into a church and state thing here?
I'm not sure whether this is a bit of a slippery slope or whether this is a diversion or whether this is just, some bureaucrat doesn't have anything to do, so they're trying to find something to do, so they're picking on the libraries. I'm not sure. what
I'd
it
like to
is.
say, I'd like to see him take some of the garbage in the library, honestly. There's a lot of stuff, you get pages from this big to that big, and they're viewing the same stuff as this big, so.
But again, does it come from legislation or does it come from the people that run the library?
Well,
This to me looks like it's coming from legislation,
Well, I think it
and
is.
and I'm
would be.
seeing,
Yeah.
I'm reading between the lines, church and state. You cannot have both. You either are legislative or you are church. So, and church does not belong in the political field.
Dwayne,
So it's also addressed in Minister Williams's letter as well. On Bill 28, it's of course the very last line, but it's also not only libraries, but any regional services commission are municipally controlled. So they're looking at governance within all public institutions as well. So, and hopefully there'll be a lot more engagement on that as we move forward.
But again, I think you got a point there. Like, I know that the libraries have concerns about, the amount of input that the political side, they're saying, you're taking it away from our librarians and the people that are on the
In
know.
charge,
In
yes.
charge, and, like I said, putting it more into policies and legislation instead of, leaving it up to the local librarian, local institution, I shouldn't call them an institution, but the library group to come up with what's local authority, but cool.
Yeah, and there obviously needs to be some guidelines to that. I mean, obviously you can't have a elementary school with pornographic.
Agreed.
So I don't know how else you would. Should it be left up to the specific library, or where does this guideline come from? I don't know. That's a really good question. And
Well,
it
it
could be a
depends.
slippery slope, but
It depends, because some areas of our province will be more liberal, some will be more conservative, and now you're gonna have a variance, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying, Dwayne, because I'm for less government too, but there's some things I think that have to be overseen for the good of kids in general and that, so.
Yeah, Chantal, do you have a question?
No.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
The thing that, and I don't disagree with you, Mr. DeVoe, what I think is there needs to be more discussion between the, for example, Palliser Regional Schools with the libraries in the schools, Chinook Regional libraries and that kind of thing. And again, I think there needs to be a total separation between the provincial and federal and these organizations. Let our policymakers of the school boards dictate for schools, because they're not as political as the province coming in and saying things.
Well, I
But
think we're
this
seeing
stuff
it
coming right from the legislature,
all the way
I have a
down.
problem with that.
Yeah, I think it's all the way down, like, you know, even like the map, you know, that we just went through 3 times, you know, and you know, that type of thing where, you know, and again, you know, poor Grant, he gets beat up quite a bit on it because, you know, we tell him that, you know, they say, you know, they're always arguing that the federal government should stay in their lane and let the province do their thing, and then we as municipalities are saying to the provincial government, you know, you guys should be staying in your lane.
Correct.
And, you know, more or less the schools and
Yeah, it is right, you're right.
and the other groups that, you know, should stay in their lane and let us do our jobs, but unfortunately, it just seems though that it's happening more and more.
I would say this, Dwayne, this is the argument, like us, our disagreement is exactly what they're gonna get on all levels, right? So, the thing is, they're funding all this stuff, so that's where the electorate has to push that decision when it happens, because I agree, there's a point where too much government is too much government, but, you know, some of the stuff that's in some of these schools is,
Oh, there's no argument there, Mr. DeBold, none whatsoever. Again, this is the simplicity of what is coming forward. It has nothing to do with you and I discussing what's in a library. It
No.
is somebody that wants to say this is what you're gonna do, but it comes from the legislative side rather than from a body that is overseeing the libraries, whether it be a school board, whether it be Chinook Regional libraries, or whatever the terminology is. There's too much of the province, the federal government, and but I agree. I mean, I do not disagree with you, but I'm just voicing my opinion as well.
I agree with a lot of what you're saying.
And I think that that's our opportunity to voice these concerns to our other counterpart, the RMA and AM, and say, you know, what's your opinions? You know, is there pushback on those? And, you know, more or less.
So should there be a response from this?
Well, I mean, like even like Bill, like you said, Bill 28, and
Yes.
and
That's where this is alluding to,
you know,
correct?
is a concern, and go ahead.
So, the Alberta municipalities are still putting together information packages, you guys get the emails from them, so they're still trying to weed through, the amendment for Bill 28 to get out feedback to, you guys as counselors, which kind of leads from Rob's report right into the next 2
Right.
letters that you have from the Minister of Municipal Affairs.
And I think that that's an opportunity, but Dwayne's got a point, is this something that we should be voicing our concerns to either municipal affairs or to AM or
And
both?
the way I think of it, we're not making a stand, we're just voicing concerns.
Yeah,
This needs to be here, like Mr. Grant said, down this lane. This needs to be here, down this lane.
Yeah.
That's it. They should not cross. Financially, possibly.
well, and they do, but I mean, unfortunately, some of them have a feeling that if they put in a nickel, they should have 100% say, instead of saying, you put in a nickel, you only get 5% say type
Yeah.
thing, you know, and I think that's what's happened with all the way around. You
Yes.
know, we're seeing that, you know, because the provincial government or the federal government gives you funding, now all of a sudden the rules, you have to follow 100%, instead of saying, no, you know, you only gave us a penny, why are we following 100% of what you need to say? But anyway, I think the only way we could do it would be to, you know, draft a concern that we have and send it back, you know, with the concerns on Bill 28 for sure, and the information that we've gotten from Mr.
Well,
Hunter.
I'll make a motion that we draft a letter of concern with regards to Bill 28 and the direction that it's going.
Okay.
And have administration draft it, send it to us, we can peruse it, and then Kim can sign it and send it off.
Okay,
So we'll just put it for administration to
Yes.
draft a letter and present it to
go ahead.
council.
I am concerned, but I would really like to see more of what their direction for this is before I make a decision on this, because this is a pretty overview here. I'd like to know what they really mean by this, you know, because a lot of what Dwayne says is true. You know, there's a chance for, I mean, I hate to say this, but I mean, Hitler burned books. I mean, I think freedom of speech and freedom of choice is that's up to the individual. But for me, I'd like to see just the concern of the younger kids. That's where I kind of lie in this.
Dwayne?
Further to my motion
Yeah.
would be, let's throw the motion out there with the letter
Yeah.
and let's see if we get more information. I agree with what you're saying, to get more information so that we can be educated in what we're looking at. But until somebody makes a stand where there's a slight rebuttal, are you going to get any answer? No. But if we make a stand, we may get some sort of rebuttal. That's the direction that I'm thinking.
We'll get a letter back, no doubt. It might just be the old form letter, but and I agree with what you're saying, but I want to see some more info for me.
Oh, definitely, and I don't disagree with you, Mr. DeBolt.
You can call me Rich.
Yeah. No, this is formal, so.
Okay, so any more discussion on this? We have
Did you have something?
a motion to
For
draft a
administration to
letter.
Draft a letter.
And then Kim, before he sends it, will send it out and let everybody have a perusal of what it says and go from there.
If you just do the motion simply for administration to draft a letter, then I can work my way
Yeah.
through getting it out should council wish to proceed.
Okay, sounds good. Any other discussion on this motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, I need a motion to file the correspondence. Richard,
Guys are lazy.
any discussion on Richard's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none,
Good discussion, though.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, moving on to the organizational chart, and
So as council knows from the last council meeting, we talked about restructuring with the part-time bylaw and with the change to the community services side with the leaving of Channing. So I was able to put everything together. The formal portion for council is, of course, amending the organization chart to reflect the changes that were put forward. So I've put the changes in red. So we've taken the bylaw enforcement officer and put it under the Public Works Department, which was discussed, and then added the community services assistant back to under community services with the addition of the last change that you did with the marketing and communications assistant. So,
okay, any thoughts, questions? Cole?
I like it a lot. I'd always kind of thought bylaw enforcement and community service / kind of town marketing, where they didn't go hand in hand per se. Whereas I think over, under the town foreman, it does. So I like it.
Okay, sounds good. Any other questions,
Just a
concerns?
question. Every time that we look at readjusting a job description, does this have to go through this process?
only when we make organizational structures inside the org chart. The job descriptions council has in policy that I keep those up to date with any changes. So
I was
if
just looking to see if we
yeah,
could
if the job
simplify this where it does not have to come back to us. But if that's the process, that's fine, thank you.
I'd prefer to keep the organizational chart within a motion of council through policy, and the only reason is they tie that to our audit
Okay.
That's our level of staff, those sort of things. I provide, when they do our audit, I provide an organization chart with the names of the folks that are in each department so that they can match it to our payroll, those sort of things. So
Okay.
I
I
prefer
understand now.
to have a motion for council for that if you.
Okay, so Cole moved this, anything else, Cole?
No, I was just gonna make a recommendation that council approve the amendments to the organizational chart policy A-20 as presented.
Okay, thank you. Any more discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. In favor? Opposed? And that's carried unanimously. Okay, now moving on to current business, bylaw enforcement officer appointment. So I will turn back over.
I've got the report in there, you've all had a chance to read it. I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce Tony Shipley. Tony's our, recently was added to Public Works, actually just 3 months ago, right? November, yeah. So then that was part of that expansion that we did to cover off on the arena. So this part-time, Tony, when we talked to him about it, felt that if it could be done under Public Works, as we all talked about, allows him to split that time, still doing what he was hired to do, but also taking on that bylaw role. So I just wanted to do a formal introduction for you all, so that you
Yeah,
know who that face was when you do get that phone call of somebody being visiting someone. So.
Good job at cleaning up Fourth Avenue.
Take the credit while you can.
Exactly,
Take the credit while you can.
Yes, sir.
okay, great. Well, thank you
Anybody have any
for,
questions?
yeah, no, it's nice to put a face to
Yes.
the person, and so thank you very much for being prepared to stand up and go ahead, Cole.
I'll make the motion that council appoint Tony Shipley as bylaw enforcement officer for the town of Vulcan and the CAO execute the oath of office for his appointment.
I'll do that tomorrow morning.
Sounds good. Any discussion on Dwayne's motion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's your railroad into the position now. So. Yeah, you betcha.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Tony.
yeah,
Thank you very much.
yeah.
They should leave the bylaw officer for the town of Vulcan.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you want, or if you want to head off, that's up to you. So.
Head off if you don't mind.
Yeah,
No,
that's
that's
great.
fine.
I have never met a Public Works employee that wanted to stay.
I asked Stu that, and that's exactly what he said.
One day, we're gonna get a Public Works guy to stay through the rest of the meeting. Thank you.
If you want.
I'm surprised he didn't say you have to stay for the
No,
whole meeting.
thanks, Tony, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Talk to you in the morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Now we'll move on to the committee of the whole meeting.
So as council's aware, we have to do a committee of the whole to review the budget. Really, the only thing that we're changing from what was approved in December is just any of the requisition stuff that came in, any of the department changes. Won't be very much, we're probably very similar to last year. Last year, the meeting was scheduled during the day, so it didn't conflict with any of your evening meetings, and we were in session for an hour and a half to review that budget. This meeting, there is a presentation from the fire department coming for long-term planning for fire trucks. So I have allotted a little bit of time for that, but not anticipating that meeting going more than a couple hours for you if you're willing to meet on the 30th.
Okay, any thoughts,
Do
questions?
we want to hold off on that until we have the other two here to discuss? Or it doesn't matter?
Because I checked with them before, they
Oh,
were
okay.
both, they were
Okay.
both okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what time did you say?
We'll start at 9 a.m.
9.
Okay.
So the Thursday, April the 30th at 9.
And I'm not anticipating it being any longer than lunch, but again, if there is more questions, then we do have a good portion of the day to work through, if necessary.
And you'll be sending us a reminder?
I will be sending a meeting invite right after you approve it.
Okay, and again, the advantage
If you
of doing it during the daytime too is that, you know, if we need some information from our departments, they're available, so.
If you do want to call in some staff, they'll be here.
And it will be here, correct?
It'll be here.
Thank you.
Okay, any thoughts? Somebody wish to move the
Someone-
Chantel?
I'll make the recommendation that council approve the committee of the whole meeting to be scheduled at 9 a.m. on April 30th, 2026 for the purpose of reviewing the draft 2026 operations budget.
discussion on Chantel's motion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, carried unanimously. Okay, 2026 SAWA membership.
So, you all had a chance to read the report. Really what it came up from was a discussion that was brought up from our member of council that sits on the Waste Authority, that there was some other members that are questioning whether they should continue to participate in the SAWA. And because of the MOU that's in place, with that coming to an end at the end of 2026, and of course our mayor sitting as the vice president of that association, council may wish to ask the Waste Authority to continue their membership until the end of 2026, which keeps everybody in good standing with the memorandum of understanding that SAWA has with the development group.
Okay.
I'll make the recommendation that council send a letter to the Vulcan County Waste Authority requesting continued membership for 2026 in the Southern Alberta Energy and Waste Association. Let's put it too big. On behalf of the town of Vulcan and the respective membership fee for this to be drawn from the 2026 operating budget of the Waste Authority.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, CAO vacation and meeting schedule.
Ken?
Didn't we just
Holy cow. I try to do it every second meeting if I can.
There's a little
No, I,
mishap on your
yeah, I was gonna say.
I do apologize.
You've already been there and done that according to this.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, summary, the CAO is requesting council approve to be away from the office on vacation from May 11th through March 15th of 26.
Sorry, that is
Are we going backwards?
I do apologize. That is a typo inside using my last report.
Yeah,
It is from May to May, and I believe that I have it correct in the recommendation, if that's.
It is.
I just had to throw that out.
No, I do apologize. That was a typing error on my behalf, and you know I put this together, so I can take the total blame for that. And again, the reason being is I am scheduled for holidays starting on May 11th, but we do have a council meeting that evening. But because of our committee of the whole and wanting to get the budget done, rescheduling to the 4th will help with getting tax notices out, those sort of things. So if council's agreeable to that.
Cool.
I'd like to make the recommendation that council approve the CAO's request for vacation leave from May 11th through May 15th, 2026, and that council approves the rescheduling of the May 11th, 2026 regular meeting of council to May 4th, 2026.
Okay, any discussion on Cole's motion? If not, we'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried.
I will do my best to not have that happen again.
Well, yeah.
Or at least not.
Who's in charge
Not
of your
as
family?
frequently.
Yeah.
I did mention to my wife that if I do this again, she may have to come and present it.
Remember, this is on, you know, you have to.
She might be watching as well.
Yeah.
So.
She said, dodge that bullet, huh? Okay, moving on to,
No, she might not want to take me.
yeah. Moving
Now you
on,
just gave her that option.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to the Vulcan County Health and Wellness Foundation minutes of January the 28th. Any questions, errors, omissions? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the Marcus Foundation improvements of 24. Okay, and then the Marcus draft minutes of March the 31st. Okay, the March the 18th, Vulcan Library. Okay, moving on to the Mayor's and Reeves, March 6th minutes.
Yes, there was nothing from the mayor of Vulcan.
I'm quiet.
Oh, really? Okay, all right, we'll run
So
with
you
that.
weren't there.
No, I was there by Zoom, but.
I do think that maybe we could use Grant Hunter's summary from this.
Okay, moving on to FCS's March 19th meeting. Okay, FCS's meeting for April the 9th. Okay, food bank from April the 9th. Okay, any questions on any of those five? Or, well, I guess really it was 7 or 8, but, you know, but anyway.
I'll make the motion and receive this information.
Okay, Dwayne moves it for info. Any discussion on Dwayne's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, moving on to verbal ones. Councillor DeVote.
Had 2 meetings this week, the Water Commission on Thursday. It was audit, and it was the audit time, so the auditors came in and went through the financials. Everything looks pretty good. I won't take too much time on it, he'll need something to talk about. On Friday, we had board training for commissions, like on the training, so that was actually pretty good. It was about 2 hours, and it was quite interesting, and went through some stuff, and a lot of it we knew, a couple things I didn't know, so that's always good.
When
And
was that?
it was at county.
Oh, the one.
Roles and responsibilities
Yeah.
of foundation and commissions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was,
I didn't realize you were there.
yeah, no, I went, and it was, came through the Water Commission, and so we were dealing with some of that stuff, and it was actually really good. It was a lot of information in a short amount of time, and
The PowerPoint will be coming out.
yes, yes. So I'll leave you something to say on that.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, sir.
No, I'll leave it. You have something to say to it, and yeah, there was a bunch of stuff on that actually, and just, it was talking about the commissions, it was talking about foundations, the differences, and all that, and what's involved, and what you can do legally, and what's illegal, what's legal, regulations, all the roles of directors, chairperson, all that, and there was all that stuff. There was quite a bit, and it was I found it quite interesting actually. So I found it good. But that's I had one member of the public talk to me. It was friendly to start. But anyways, all things are going good. I think the people up on over on North Side are looking forward to our new street, so I think they're getting kind of excited. A couple of them mentioned. So, but other than that, that's what I did.
Okay. Any questions for Richard? If not, we'll move on to Councillor DeVote.
I had a very quiet couple of weeks. I didn't have any meetings, unfortunately. I did go and chat with Chris and had a meeting with him in regard to the sign going up, just to get a little bit more information. Not that I just wanted more information on it. I found the meeting very helpful. He gave a lot of information that I don't think was necessarily shared, and I think that's all I was kind of looking for from the last one, was just understanding a little bit better where he was coming from, and I think he was really well prepared for it too. I really appreciated him putting the time aside for me to kind of chat with him. I've had 2 people within the community, actually one is from outside the community, lives in High River. They're interested in purchasing a lot in town, and they had some information, or wanted information regarding building and ready to move homes and stuff like that. I advised them to come to Kim or talk to whomever, and yeah, so I think that was some positive. They had a lot of positive feedback when they came back to me and said thank you for that, and it was very helpful, and they're gonna take the next steps to look into that. So other than that, that was very quiet 2 weeks.
Any questions for Chantal? Okay, if not, moving on to Councillor Bill.
At a meeting, MPC meeting on the 17th of March, where we went over a few things there and approved a couple of development permits, which was another positive part for the town. And then I had a meeting on the 26th with Vulcan and District Waste Authority. And again, coming back to the Sawa situation, there was a lengthy discussion with regards to that, and there is some positive opinions, but there's also some very negative opinions. And I'm really proud and excited that the town of Vulcan is moving forward and sending a letter to the Waste Commission to continue to be involved in it. And I think more so in the respect that it can be and probably will be very viable. Just looking at the calendar here. I met with the mayor and our CAO and the manager, this is Monday the 30th, the CAO from the Waste Commission. We discussed a number of things with regards to the main issue, which was Sawa, and ultimately, I think through the discussion that we had, it was positive. I felt it was positive. The meeting basically went to just after 11 o'clock, so that was good. I paid my GST on the 30th. Again, going back to April the 10th, Mr. Bolt alluded to it. County Council Chambers, roles and responsibilities. It was training, and it was for commission board members and foundation board members. And the one thing that I really found that was driven home was if you are in a board meeting or a commission meeting, you are not a council member. And there was some eyes that got pretty big, let's put it that way, that they felt that the lawyer that was talking said that a lot of these council members say, well, I gotta run back to my council. No, you don't have to run back to your council. You deal with the issues at hand at the board, and then you report back to your council as to what's gone on. And in the past, and I'm talking when I was on council before, that was never really dealt with in the way it should have been. And that was the one thing that I really gleaned out of it, out of the meeting. And I just hope that the members of the Water Commission, the Waste Authority, and the foundation will be able to take that forward.
Yeah, because there's more than just like we've got the Health Foundation too.
Well,
and again, you know,
yeah,
the libraries, and then the one that theoretically.
but again, they were. I'm not sure whether Mr. Ellis had invited them to this.
No, I appreciate that.
But I think it's something that these other boards and whether they're commissions or foundations should be brought up to speed.
Yeah.
I did have a meeting with the foundation where the people that are in charge of moving Marquis Foundation forward and the building forward, there was a discussion ended up with a lull, I asked the council member from the board if there was a problem with the town. And there was a pile of backpedaling.
Pile of what?
A pile of backpedaling, oh no,
Okay.
no town.
Oh,
But
okay, sorry.
originally, when there was a comment that there, or, you know,
Yeah,
which nobody could hear.
yeah.
So, after that, after the meeting, of course, I phoned our representative, who sits on that, to explain what I had done in the foundation meeting. And I was abruptly told that she had already heard about it. So, I am not gonna pull any punches with these people that have little snide comments anymore. So, I'm gonna take them to task, and they're gonna have to come out and either say what they're thinking, or they're gonna have to eat their words. We are not the bad guys here. We've done a lot of good things for that foundation, and it's important that we support our member that sits on that board, and we support the principle of that project. And if council members from another council have a problem with it, they better come forward and belly up to the bar.
Was there very many people at that meeting? Yeah.
Yes, there was. There was Kelly Nelson, Lori Lickman, Leslie Warren, Glenn Hutton, myself, of course, Scott Mitchell. Who is in charge of the hospital now? Paulette. She was there.
Oh, this is at the Health Foundation.
At the Health Foundation, yes, and they wanted explanation of what is going on with the foundation.
Oh, okay.
And there was questions that came out with regards to possibly how the foundation can help with the Marquis Foundation,
Yeah, okay.
which was good.
Yeah.
And so again, I learned very quickly when I started going to those meetings, I'm there to listen and not say much and bring it back to council. But when there is something that I feel is not right, I'm going to bring it back to this council and basically call out somebody that's making comments about us that aren't correct. Now, what the comment was, nobody knows, because it was kind of under the breath. But the person that I spoke to with everybody around there did not know what to say. So, you have a
Chantal,
question?
No, you kind of answered it. My question was gonna be like, was it I guess a public thing that was said?
It was a public meeting.
No,
We were not-
like a public statement that was said to.
I honestly can't answer that
Okay,
because it was said under breath.
right, okay.
And the way it was said, it presented a snide comment towards not only town council, but the town of Vulcan, and I took it to task. I was not happy about it, but there was a lot of backpedaling. So, the other thing that has happened, just another, and it wasn't a meeting, it was very informal. I happened to sit across at a restaurant table from the head of the Marcus Foundation and one of the county council members, and they suggested that our two councils should get together and host a joint meeting. I said, have your CAO contact our CAO and set it up. But then, after thinking about this, I think it would be a good idea. The chairperson of the Marquis Foundation praised us for what we have been doing as the town of Vulcan. So again, that recognition was maybe because of what I may have dropped the ball on. So, anyways, I wanted to put that out there, that the line has been drawn in the sand where the county thinks that they're driving the bus, but they're not when it comes to the town of Vulcan. All right? That being said, I have a meeting on Thursday over in Okotoks with, no, Foothill Regional Emergency Services Commission. We're going through the 911 center and gonna have our meeting there.
Good.
So I'm looking forward to that. Other than that,
At
that's
your,
the pot that I stirred.
at the April 10th meeting that was at the county office, how many were there? Did you go to that one too? With,
Well, there was,
roles and
there was two county council members, correct?
Yeah.
There was a member from
No, there was
Carnegie.
three, Alex was there. Next-
Right.
Yeah,
I apologize, you're
Yeah.
correct. There was a member from Carnegie. Nels initially started the Zoom, I'll call it, for lack of a better term, Zoom, myself, Mr. Bolt. Then there was Alex, there was Mr. Ellis. Miss
Yeah.
Kathy Dolman was there, and in the background was,
Ron.
no, it's Shane, yeah, Ron Wickstrom was there. Shane, he's a mechanic out in Milo. He's a council, he's the mayor.
Oh,
Scott.
Scott,
Yeah, Scott.
thank you. Yeah, Scott, and then Wayne Tompkins. And then there was two other ladies
Yeah, I
that
think
were,
there's around 12 or 13.
yeah,
good.
Yeah,
and everybody was engaged.
yeah.
You know, and again, I know Dick said that you guys are gonna have it so that we can share it. He was gonna share it to all the CAOs and that, but is that something that, I know that was mainly leaning towards foundations and commissions and that, and library boards, but you kind of wonder if it wouldn't be something that, you know, should be shared with the library board, and maybe even shared, going back, and I know, again, this, I'm asking the question to a degree, is it something that we should share with the flag club? I mean, I know that they're not a commission or but yet, you know, they do have a role with us as,
I never thought of that
you know,
before.
with the two organizations, the county and the town. I mean, we own the land together,
Yes.
and they theoretically are running it for us. You kind of wonder if this is an opportunity for them to see how, what the philosophy behind how that level of governance is, that they might not. I'm not sure, I've never seen it, I've never heard it, but it may be.
And that's feedback that I got from our last member of council that sat on there, is that perhaps the roles and responsibilities type training would be good for.
Like, I know that there is an opportunity, you know, and I know it costs the one group a good chunk of cash to have the
Brownlee,
Brownlee fry it.
that's it,
John
thank you,
C.
sir.
John C. McDonald was the lawyer giving it.
Yeah, but I mean, it costs them a few bucks to put it on, but
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of wonder if there isn't other ones, like, I mean, and again, I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but I mean, the golf club, the curling club, you know, that have fairly good size operations in our community that, you know, is.
They may not have the commission or foundation name at the end of their organization, but I think you're absolutely right with regards to understanding the roles and responsibilities of each individual that sit on the different boards. I think it's a very good thing.
So maybe-
I gleaned as much out of it as Mr. DeWolf did.
So maybe once you get a copy of that and see what
Yeah.
you guys think of it, but I mean, again, you know, we're, you know, like I said, the curling club and the golf club are huge assets to our community, and yet they're run by volunteer boards. Is there something that this could help them in their directions and their governance model
Yeah.
of their organization, or is this way over because they're not a commission or a foundation? But
No, but I think maybe the PowerPoint.
well, yeah, do we want to stay in our lane? But on the other hand, you know, is there an opportunity to assist them so that we can stay in our lane and not have to end up having to take
And
them
that's
over,
not a bad idea, sir.
you know?
That is a very good idea. Maybe it could be with removing the commission and foundation from the last part of the statement of the organization. There may be some other directions that these people are unaware of, where they may get out of their lane.
You know, and again, I think too, you know, it's so hard to walk into from one and wear that hat and then take it off and put it on the counter, and now you're wearing a different hat, and yet, you know, what's best for that organization, and sometimes, you know, we get caught up in it's what's best for me or what's best for my community and not the community as a whole, which is not easy to do. But, I mean, I think that's why we're put in the positions we're in, is to try and offer that level of governance and direction for these groups, but Cole?
Well, it sure wasn't easy last year walking into that water commission meeting and
No,
having our
like,
commission
yeah,
hats on
yeah,
and knowing full well this is not going to be popular.
this is no,
I mean, we're still taking feedback,
From
It
your
was-
CEO.
but,
but it was in the absolute best interest
Yeah.
of the commission. So what
Exactly.
else could we do?
But I think, again, you know, if you have that ability to hear it from a third party, which, you know, I mean, this legal counsel that says, this is what the rules really are, and I appreciate, you know, the flying clubs and the ag societies and the curling clubs and the golf clubs and all those, or
The dance clubs, yeah.
you know, whichever, but, you know, do you offer a level, I mean, you know, I can even pick on the Lions clubs and the Kinsey clubs,
Don't be picking on mine, so.
you know, but again,
Talk about the kids,
but generally, they have a little bit more knowledge of Robert's Rules of Order than some, you know,
Yeah.
other groups. And I'm not trying to pick on them, it's just that sometimes, you know, they've got thrown under that bus and
Yeah.
that's where they're at now, so. Is this something that we should wait and see what comes out of it?
Yeah, well, we'll get that information and then.
yeah, because he was sending something out, I believe.
Yes, oh yeah, we were gonna, it was
Yeah.
going to all the CAOs.
And
Yes.
he did mention something about volunteer boards on there, remember he was talking about volunteer?
Briefly,
Yeah,
yes,
very
that's right.
briefly, yeah.
But I did ask a question with regards, and again, it came back from our discussion that we had with Mr. Ellis in the small conference room here regarding the Waste Authority in Sawa. Should the representative of a council be bringing that forward? Or should the CAO of the council be directed to initiate documentation letter, sending it to the manager and the chairperson? And that's the way it should go.
Yeah.
Instead of some council members coming in there and saying, well,
Yeah.
this is, it has to be formal. And then that way it comes across as Switzerland.
And the legal opinion was is to make it more formal than
Yes.
not.
Yes.
I kind of
Because,
thought that was.
and I put myself in that position after our discussion here
Yeah.
with regards to the letter. I didn't want to go back, and I know I would have gotten attacked had I brought that information forward.
Yeah.
But now that it's in motion,
Yeah.
the CAO drafts it, sends it to the manager for the Waste Commission and the chair, then they make sure it has to get onto the agenda.
Okay, sounds good. Anyway, no, that's great, so.
Yeah.
Anything,
No, good,
anything,
wow,
anything else for Dwayne?
no,
Any questions for anybody? Okay, if not, Councillor Dunham.
April 8th, Chris Mitchell and I met with Kim and members of ORSC to discuss FutureBill. We were kind of just looking for clarity and maybe some advice to helping Angela with her planning on her project. After that, Chris and I both had calls with Angela to kind of give her feedback and kind of see if there was anything we could do to assist her. And we had a vote last weekend to release funds to her as per her plan. So that's all I'll say on that until any more information on that, I'm gonna wait for her to bring forward. I don't think it's appropriate for us to comment on it, so. Also, April 9th had the Water Commission meeting, and yeah, Richard pretty much covered everything. We had financial statements reported by Avail Chartered Accountants, and it's pretty much the end of that meeting. That training Friday I was unable to attend. I had a work obligation at the last minute, and I struggle with weekday meetings, especially if you've already lost 2 days of work to other meetings. It's tough to lose a third, so yeah, that was it.
Okay, any questions for Cole? Thank you very much. For me, Kim and I sit on that building committee to a degree with the Marcus Foundation, and so they're having meetings twice a month, and I usually just sit in on them and just to hear what's going on, and it's kind of nice because Kim's been able to answer a lot of the questions for them. The one was, you know, like I came out of the one meeting was, you know, how we're going to get power to that site, and Kim and I tried to look at the map, and so I did go up to the hospital to find out where that that power line goes.
Right, it goes right in beside the ambulance. bay.
Yeah, and that, but they moved it. That's
Yeah.
not, it's not original. That's
Nope.
the original one went, but anyway,
And
so,
I put the maps on top of each other, and it's happened between 2017 and 2021.
yeah. So anyway, we had a bit of a discussion on that. And then they also asked a question about the streetlights. You know, I think they're gonna try and mimic what our streetlights look like on there, which I think is real awesome.
Yes,
You know,
yeah,
that
for
it was
sure.
asked for them. So, again, I brought the information to Kim and he forwarded it on to them to, but it came from those meetings that, you know, the question came, you know, we did have a SEWA executive meeting, or I mean, a regular meeting, and some of the discussions came about, there was a motion made to go small debts court against one of the groups that haven't paid their bills, and so then, again, Dwayne and I had, and Kim and Dick had that meeting, which I thought was very progressive, and great opportunity to discuss some options and the pros and cons of, you know, moving in with a waste to energy facility. And then, again, Peter Dawson Lodge meeting, and again, they're only for a couple hours, they're really talking about, you know, how they're coming along, and I think things are moving, you know, at as fast as they can probably ever move. They're still anticipating and I shouldn't say this because Judy's not here, but it sounds like they're really pushing for a tender date in July, you know, so call it for tender in July is what they're kind of hoping for, which is, again, like I said, breakneck speed. Then we had a mayor, SEWA executive meeting and last Friday, and then Mayors and Reeves. At the Mayors and Reeves, again, you know, the major discussion was you know, from the Grant Hills and MLAs. There was 20 in attendance and 13 online. And then this Gabriella Kirk, which some of you might not know who she is, but she works for the Senior Protects. She gave her presentation, and it was unbelievable how much discussion came about after that. Like, I mean, unbelievable discussion over this.
Positive?
Well, it was positive because of, but I think it was awestruck because most of us don't know what's going on in some of these institutions, in some of these facilities. And so I think we're going to see some major pushes and shoves by you know, municipalities too to do something.
It's a pretty disturbing presentation and very eye-opening.
Yeah, it is very, very disturbing, but, you know, so there was a lot of, Grant Hunter questioned Gabriel, and so did the mayor of Lethbridge, you know, because he sits on the foundation down there, and he says, you know, why are we not hearing about all this information that you guys are putting out there? And she's more or less, Lori Lickman said, because you're underneath a rock, you know, you're not listening. It's out there. It's the information's out there, and you know, you got teeth, and they, you know, but nobody uses them, and so so anyway, I think you're going to see something happen with that. The discussion went on and on about that one. It was probably at least an hour discussion on a 10-minute presentation, and so hopefully she's going to get some more help and assistance on that. RMA, Kelly was doing hers, and then I had to opt out because I had another meeting to go to. But anyway, and then so I didn't hear the AM's, Councillor Jones's presentation of what they were doing, but yet they gave a written one, so we'll start sharing them with you too, the AMs and the RMAs, which is kind of interesting because to see what the rules are seeing being done and what, you know, the urbans are trying to push for too. So, and they're going to try and make them in written so that they're not just highlighted in the minutes. And then again, I heard a little bit about your presentation on April 10th, but again, I was already had the 3 meetings. I didn't attend. They had a debriefing on the doctor retention, the medical students that came out. Did you take any on that one?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that was on the Friday too, but I just couldn't get it worked into. I had already had 3 meetings that day, so I didn't make it to that. So it'll be interesting to see what they're, you know, what. But because of that doctor or nurses that came out, I saw Paulette last Friday, no, Thursday, I guess it was. Anyway, she said that they've had a nurse apply for a position already
From that one? From those?
because of that group.
Oh, awesome.
You know, she hasn't, she's just finishing up her course right now. She's on that fast track one, and I think they finish in April, end of April, the fast track one. And so she's already applied for Vulcan. And I think one of the girls that sat at the table with us, with Joan, is applying for the lab as a, so it might be an opportunity that we will see 2 out of the 20, 30 kids that came out, or youth that came out. So anyway, it's kind of nice to see, and again, I would love to have had that. Yeah, be careful what you.
I know. I just realized that way he was giving me the stink eye there.
Stink eye. Anyway, yeah, it was very positive. So it'll be interesting to hear what the outcome was of that debriefing, but I wasn't able to attend it. So. And then again tomorrow we go to Coaldale for the Sewa meeting in Coaldale. Are you gonna go down?
Unfortunately, no, I'm booked up tomorrow.
I see the chairs going from the. I just got a notice saying that the chair is going to attend
From the Waste Commission?
Waste Commission.
Oh, great. I mean, wonderful.
So that's in Coaldale tomorrow with the Sewa presentation for the waste to energy facility. So hopefully in the south. And that's
Well, isn't that very interesting? Because at the last Waste Commission meeting, there was a lot of negative talk.
Well, I just got the text. That's what my phone beeped about. It just says that the chair is coming to Coaldale tomorrow.
Is the manager?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be phoning him later.
Yeah. Unfortunately, on that one too, is that there's some information that's going to be coming out, and we had hoped that we could Zoom it, and also and we're able to record it, but they're requesting it not be Zoomed or recorded.
Okay. The big conversation you guys had at Mayor's and Rees, that it was Gabriel?
Yeah, Gabriel Kirk.
Yeah, you know, I think that's a really positive thing, because I know certain municipalities have wrote concerning letters, and there's been kind of fallen on deaf ears. So
Yeah.
for an MLA to sit there and say, well, how to be that oblivious to that, that's shocking to me.
Yeah, so was I, and especially since they used the letter that the minister sent back, and she said that, you know, like, and of course, you know, most of us know Lori Bickman. She shoots more from the hip than I do, which is pretty scary. But anyway, I mean, we went to school together, but she does shoot from the hip. But anyway, she was not very nice to the couple of ministers, and because of their lackluster response to the information that has been sent to them, and so I think Grant took it to heart, and hopefully he will carry on from there. So.
Well, I think it's almost at the point where it's almost an epidemic at this point. That's some of the stories I hear.
Yeah, it was, like I said, Kim and I both saw it. She used the same presentation, and it's very, very graphic, and she apologizes right off the start. She says we've had permission from the families to show these pictures, but
There's pictures.
there's pictures, and they're not pleasant pictures at all. Like, they're very, very
Very
offensive.
That's a good one then, because you know, you just seen 42 pages of a report, and a lot of that report talked about healthcare and different aspects of healthcare. You can bet the next 40 pages that come, this should be in there then.
Yeah, I don't know how much Grant will share on that, but I really think that Grant will take it back and meet with Minister Nixon and a couple of the other ministers and you know, like, talk about it.
But our previous council meetings, when we have received minutes from the Marquis Foundation, bringing to light, and I'll only use this as an example, elder abuse in facilities.
Yeah.
We've already started this discussion during our council meetings. So we're already proactive in understanding what Gabriel is putting forward,
Yeah.
to a degree.
And previous council has sent 2 letters to the minister on it.
But anyway, so yeah, she did her presentation, and like I said, there was 33 of us, you know, theoretically 20 in attendance and 13 online, and there was some major questions asked of Gabriel, and she was able to answer most of them, and you know, she was willing to share some of this information and with them, so hopefully something will come up for that.
Cool.
That's good impact then.
Yes.
Anyway, that's it for me, unless somebody else has some questions. If not, somebody wish to move the council reports. Richard? Any discussion on Richard's motion? Hearing none, call a question. Those in favor, opposed, seeing none, it's carried unanimously. Okay, moving on to the activity management report.
As you can see, everything was completed from the last meeting. I really missed the one at the very top from 5 years ago, but we'll be back, so. But, I can move into my CAO report.
Okay.
If there's no questions. So, pretty straightforward work. I did a lot of work on the bylaw officer job description and the changes within the organizational structure. We were able to put out posting, obviously, to get that filled, and we will, those that are on, that are watching through social media, and that we've already posted the community services assistant position as well, so hopefully have that closed within a couple weeks. And we did the letter of support and encroachment letters for the Marquis Foundation. These have come out of these meetings. There is some encroachment agreements that were part of the original subdivision for that land that CMHC was asking quite a few questions about, but they are not part of the property. The only one that's part of the property is the Persona Communications one that goes across from the subdivision to the hospital, and Persona is no longer, so we're working with Northern Company to get that caveat dropped. So that's the next line on there about that caveat. So the Fortis and the Town of Vulcan ones are on different lots on that subdivision, so they don't impact it at all.
May I ask a question going back to the mayor with regards to the power for the Marquis Foundation lot? Can they not go underground on Elizabeth and then across the road?
Yeah,
Because that is
Yeah.
three-phase there as well.
So so what I've done is I've put the project manager in contact with our community liaison for Fortis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cody got back
I meant to ask you that
today.
earlier, sorry.
Yeah, so I was able to put them in contact, and there's multiple locations.
Yeah.
It possibly could come off the end of Jameson Road, could go underneath, depending on capacity through that last transformer that they have on that block, but it's a fairly big one, so they're looking into all those
Okay.
options.
Yeah.
I just, when you said over by the old ambulance.
well,
I'm thinking-
originally,
That's where the right of way for Fortis is.
yeah.
Is way
okay,
over
okay,
there, and
now I
that's why,
understand.
and that's why everybody was concerned about these encroachments, because
Well-
Fortis is way over here, and it used to
Yeah.
go quite a bit further to the hospital, but now it's way back by the old ambulance space.
Yeah, like it
Where the
used to
closest
go
power is.
halfway down, and then when they put the new, like Kim said, they put that new generator in, then they altered it,
And brought it.
and they put it
Okay.
underground and removed those poles, which made it good for the stars.
Yes,
But again, you know, I kept on saying to Kim, I remember seeing that pole there.
There's power right to the end of that property.
And Kim says, no, we looked on the map, it's not there. And,
now I understand. Thank you
So
for
that's where that-
clarification.
We'll call that a debate.
yeah, a discussion.
We had a discussion on where the power poles ended. And
But anyway,
neither one of us is stubborn about it.
Kim, how's the tender process coming? Are we getting lots of late?
Yeah, so the tender's actually closed.
Yeah.
The one street for Third Street came in right at estimated. The Second Street came in quite a bit over, and we think that it's the inserter valve. So SEMA was supposed to meet with us last week. They got hung up, so we're hoping to meet this week to see. We have the ability within the contract to lower 20%.
Yeah.
And so we're going to discuss with the low bidder whether we can look at something inside those inserter valves, because for the whole project, it was pretty close to $100,000. So Stu feels that we can most likely eliminate those by putting in traditional valves. When not all of them, we still need to do one inserter valve, but we got to meet to discuss. So anyway, the tenders are closed.
Yeah.
They are over what we anticipated, so before bringing it to council, we didn't want to split them up in case the contractor decided they didn't want the project unless it was a whole project. So we're in the process of working with SEMA and the low bidder at this point to see if we can move forward. But at this point, it's enough on the one project that it would probably not make it go forward, so that's where we are.
So it'd be, what, 20%?
Closer to 40 on,
Oh.
on one, yeah. But again, that's with those inserter valves in
Yeah.
place. And that one's quite a bit bigger project.
With
Yeah.
the engineering firm,
Yes.
they're gonna try and get together with you.
Oh, yeah, they're.
There is no trying.
No.
We're running against a timeline here.
Yes, no, they're, yes, we were supposed to meet at the end of last week and we're gonna be meeting this week.
Guaranteed, because we're up
Guaranteed.
against the timeline on getting this tendered out.
Oh, no, the tenders are done.
No, tendering, getting, like, okay, they're
Yeah.
done. The negotiations now,
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
we're in that stage.
but
And they've already been talking to the contractor, the low bidder. So,
we can't wait. It has to be done, and you need to tell them that we need to get this done. This idea, we can't meet this time, no, that is unacceptable.
I will,
So,
I will.
You
voice
can pass that
and
along,
I will
and
pass
you can
that
also
along.
use my name. Thank
I will
you.
pass that along.
Thank
But
you.
yes, no, we are working on it, so. Again, we're, without a bylaw officer, I've been working on the bylaw files. You guys are very aware of the
Yes.
ones that are being worked on right now, so I won't go into those in detail. Again, met with Orsk and Futureville for the ASP changes. Budget changes are pretty steady now with most of the requisitions are in, so we know totals for our budget. And yeah, formal meetings of interest, McDonald Consulting, obviously with Christine Holmes, just doing development updates, had 2 of them. Still working on getting a commitment to do, to finish the road up. He's got the shallow utilities booked for this summer. The end of July, I believe, is when.
I think so, yes.
When ATCO was able to give a date. Not looking at you as.
No, I
As a former
understand, no,
ATCO employee,
but I've also
sorry.
had a discussion with Mr. DeCourt
About that.
with regards to that, and this gentleman, McDonald,
Yeah,
basically, he's spearheading it and just reporting back to.
yeah, Carl's his consultant now.
Okay.
And
That's what I-
again, I have a very good working relationship with Carl. I've known him for many, many years.
And
It's
that's
actually
what-
been a lot more positive on trying to get things.
Yeah, and
moving
Mr. DeCourt reaffirmed that when I had a conversation with him.
Alberta Municipalities was here for their member services review. That's all the stuff that they do through the AMSC that you see at that. So the insurance, the energy, benefits programs, all of that. So we reviewed all that within our scope. Marcos Foundation Building Committee meeting, I was only able to attend one. Tom was able to attend the other and pass on the information. There was only a couple questions and I was able to get them answered within that day. So North and Company, again, doing that encroachment review and just making sure that we have all the information together when they require that from CMHC. We're, because of us doing the land deal with that, we are just gonna take care of the encroachment inside of what we're doing rather than doing the land title to the Marcos Foundation and then making them do it. We're already in the process, so I've got them to move ahead with that. The Waste Authority Manager meeting has been well reported on. It was a good meeting, got good information, enabled me to put together that report that we needed to put to you as council. The street program, tender update, I did do a virtual, and again, I think what they're doing is they, not really to answer Councilor Hill's question, but right now they're going through line by line inside the tender to see what can be reduced, if anything, and then going to come back to Stu and I, because we've also been doing the same thing on what we think can be come back on to. So, when we're giving them more time, it's because we're working on it as well.
Which is fine,
They
but
know we need to get moving on it. So
as we discussed when we had the committee as a whole, this had to be sooner than later.
to
And
get, to get favorable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Wednesday is the 15th
yeah.
of April, and
That's
yeah,
right.
that's the concern I have. I do have one question with regards to the realignment of Cottonwood Drive and West Spring Greens Avenue?
Yes,
Is that moving forward, or?
that's all in the developer's hands, because we did the rezoning for that lot, and part of that is he needs to, realign the road. Yeah, I know he's taken to a lawyer, but it's been, if you look at our development, he's been working on that for well over a year now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then the last one was the Orsk, Futureville ASB amendment review, and that was really focused on, commercial area. How much, because it was suggested, the area structure plan currently doesn't have a commercial area to it. And, anybody that's had a conversation with, Angela knows that that's something that she would like to propose. And so there was a, discussion on what concentration of commercial space would be acceptable. Is it 1%, is it 5%, is it 1 acre, 3 acres, those sort of things. So we got some really good feedback, and Orsk will be able to bring that back to us, so. That is my report.
Okay, any other questions for Kim? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the development officers, or, yeah, development officers, sorry. Any questions on Rita's?
So,
Go ahead.
Council Hill on, updates on number 1 for the apartments. The land surveyor is revising a plan to accommodate the road closure and realign the lots. That's been on that report for the better portion of the year.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Roberta and
Thank
Kevin.
guys.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Okay, then I am wrong in what my question was. I thought it had something to do with Cottonwood Drive. And
That's where that road closure does
Yeah.
go down to Cottonwood Drive.
Yeah.
There is a turnaround proposed in there.
Correct.
Which
Is straight out.
it took a little bit away from the lots. So in order to make the lots a little bit bigger, we took the turnaround out of there to
Okay.
do that road straight. But because the developer gains the land, we put the costs of that realignment to the developer, because he's gaining lot land, saleable land. And so he was very comfortable with that, but like many things, doesn't move as quickly as.
All right. No.
If
Thank
this were on the other side where we were doing the closure, the urgency would be right now.
Yes. Okay, no, thank you.
You bet.
That really solidifies what I was
Conversation that
thinking
you had
about.
with said developer?
Okay, anything else on Rita's? Okay, if not, we'll move on to Public Works. Okay, anything on stews? Okay, if not, we'll move on to community services.
Not in his report, but Chris mentioned that we had a very favorable approval for the Canada Jobs grant this summer, so more than last year, so.
Kind of try to butter us up, is he?
Yeah, and that federal funding to help employ students is really helpful.
Yeah.
So,
The job posting for Channing's part-time position, has it been posted yet?
yes, it went on Friday, and that one will end up being a full-time position. Yeah, the reason being is we chewed up a portion of Stu's part-time
Yeah.
with Tony, so it allowed for a full-time, which allows, hopefully better candidates. And, we're then gonna carry that over, it's not in the report, but as I discussed, we're gonna carry that position over into assisting with tourism and that as well, so.
So it was posted on Friday, how, just, where's it posted at?
I believe that, our website and social media, and, I'll check the exact.
Okay, yeah, I didn't go on the weekend to see.
Yeah.
I didn't put it on the website, I wasn't asked.
Okay, so, and the only reason is Chris asked Friday if he could post it. I said yes, so he may have done, maybe today.
Um,
Yeah, okay.
Okay, anything else else on Chris's? Okay, the next one is the fire report.
We didn't receive their bi-monthly, but yeah, Doug just sent out the annual, so we attached the annual.
But we will be discussing this on the 30th.
Uh,
Not this report, but,
No, the proposal for a fire
yeah,
truck.
okay. Yeah, I don't know if everybody's had a chance to go over this, but as you can see, AHS is double dipping and having fire departments and the ratepayers of the local regions paying for first response when it comes to medicals. So it's not only costing the local taxpayer, but the provincial taxpayer as well when you have a call where an ambulance is 30 minutes out or 45.
Where was that?
It's on our website.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you, Dwayne, for that. I just wanted to clarify that job
Yep.
posting is on our website currently.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you look at the first response to all the municipalities, it's, you know,
It's
huge compared to,
yes. Yeah.
and again, it's hard whether it's a double dip or whether it's a, what level of service do you offer as a community
Yeah.
to your ratepayers, and obviously the fire department has taken on that role of offering that level.
I'm just looking for the town of Vulcan calls
Yeah, it was-
in the town of Vulcan, January to December of 25.
it was 80s.
Medical first response 50. Well, our taxpayers are picking up a big chunk of change there.
You do a year-long comparison, that graph speaks volumes.
Yes.
That very first one for
Yeah.
Station 27 for Vulcan alone.
Yeah.
But again, some of that I appreciate is because there's no EMS there. Is some of that is also changing the philosophy that of not only going to Delta calls anymore. You go to Bravos and Charlies. Anything that
Yeah. Now again, I will have to check with Chief Jones and see with regards to if that will change back to the Charlies and Deltas and Echoes. But you're right, the Bravo calls, that's maybe something. we need
and
to-
again, as a ratepayer, that has somebody that's having some health issues, it's important. But as a ratepayer that doesn't have a health person that's having those situations, where do you throw it back and forth?
The other thing, Mr. Mayor, is maybe through discussion with the county fire chief, limiting the number of people that are going on the call for medical first response. When you have 7
Yeah.
heading out to a rural medical first response call, that's way too many.
Yeah.
If you've got a couple of very well-trained medical people, as well as an incident command, 3 can probably do the same thing. 7 people is way too much.
Yeah, especially when theoretically you wait until the ambulance gets there with 2.
Exactly.
So all of a sudden the 7 goes to 9. And again, being from the other side of the fence that I was on to being on to this side of the fence, like I said, it's such a hard one to say, slow down, stop, and yet on the other hand, like you said, we pay for it in our operational costs on the EMS side, but we also pay for it on the first response side.
Yes.
It doesn't matter where it is in the county that
Yes.
it's paying, because you look at all the numbers, and I think that's a great, like Kim said, this is a great chart. It
is.
shows all of the municipalities, what's number one cost
Yes,
is
medical
first
first
response.
response, yeah.
And, but anyway,
Well, it might be something that Mr. Foth might want to discuss with Chief Hedrick to trickle down to Chief Jones and limit the number of people. When the tones go off, you see the adrenaline rush, and especially when we have got a number of young members that have taken medical training, They wanna get out there, they wanna get their hands dirty, they wanna help, but on the other hand, do we need that many riding in a truck?
Yeah.
Or following in a response unit?
Okay, any other questions on the annual report? Okay, if not, somebody wish to move the...
So moved.
Dwayne,
As information.
okay. Any discussion on Dwayne's motion? Hearing none, call the question, all in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it's carried unanimously. So I guess our next one is to adjournment.
Did you had your hand up, didn't you?
I did not.
Cole.
For adjournment? Come on, girl, you gotta get
She
in.
wants to stay.
Make a
I've
motion
given
to
up,
adjourn.
you guys are fast.
Cole moves that we adjourn. Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, call the question, all in favor? Oh, we're
We had to compete with Will Smith for 4 years.